NVIDIA, the most valuable company in the world. We're talking about a company that is roughly $450 billion larger than its closest rival, Microsoft. So how did a company that was reportedly started with just $200 grow this big? How did its founder Jensen Huang come from Taiwan to America and build a company like this? Today, we're diving into NVIDIA's story. So if you're ready, let's begin. Jensen Huang was born in Taiwan to a middle-class family. His family moved to Thailand for better opportunities, and when he was 9, his parents sent him and his brother to the United States to live with their uncles. After arriving in the US, his uncle enrolled him in a Catholic boarding school, but that school had been set up between two gang-like families as a place to bring their children together. Jensen did many chores there, from cleaning toilets to washing dishes, and he also learned English while he was there. After finishing high school, he studied electrical engineering at Oregon State University. While there, he met Lori, the love of his life. After graduating, he went on to do a master's degree at Stanford University and then entered the workforce. Jensen worked at places like LSI Logic and AMD. In the early 1990s, he was a manager at a company where the other two protagonists of our story, Chris Malachowski and Curtis Preem, also worked. Chris and Curtis wanted to leave their jobs and start a new company. When they pitched the idea to their friend Jensen, he wasn't immediately enthusiastic. Initially reluctant, Jensen eventually accepted their offer one day while they were sitting at their usual Denny's diner. And the three decided to found the company that would become NVIDIA, although it didn't have a name yet. But the decision wasn't made as quickly as I've just described. First, they needed a company name. They took NV, short for next version, and added the Latin word invidia, meaning jealousy. And thus, NVIDIA was officially founded on April 5th, 1993. Their vision when starting the company was to bring gaming to personal computers. At the time, computers were used, but mostly for work rather than gaming. Jensen and his colleagues set out to change that. They wanted to move gaming, which had been largely limited to consoles, to PCs. But there was a problem. They had neither funding and they hadn't proven themselves yet. The team went looking for investment and eventually secured $40,000 in capital. With that funding, they began their first projects. By November 1995, they began designing the graphics card they called the NV1. At that time, most cards were 2D, and their aim was to make a 3D card. In that era, 3D technology was very expensive, roughly $50 per megabyte, so even a 4-megabyte card would have been prohibitively costly for most people. To solve this, Curtis changed the image processing approach. They moved to a 4-way model for image processing and, unhappy with the existing audio solution, they added a new sound component onto the card. They were confident in their card. They had a deal with Sega and were already working on the NV2 chip. They reportedly placed an ambitious order for 250,000 chips and gave a big presentation in Las Vegas, but ended up selling only about 1,000 units. The reason was that their card didn't perform well on Windows Computer, so resellers didn't choose it. Jensen took a lesson from that failure. Innovations should be made not for just making. Innovations should be made because they are meaningful and useful. NVIDIA decided to go back to the drawing board. With the NV2, Series NVIDIA returned to the previous approach and managed to repair the damage caused by their first model. Jensen reorganized his team into 3 separate groups. He noticed PC sales spiked during 3 months of the year, May, June, and September. So the first team would focus on R&D, while teams 2 and 3 would handle revisions. That way, NVIDIA could produce up-to-date products throughout the year, build trust with companies, and increase sales and partnerships. NVIDIA reached agreements with Microsoft and played a role in the creation of the Xbox. They launched the GeForce series and introduced a system that didn't exist before. Although graphics cards had been made before, with the GeForce series, NVIDIA reached a new level. The new cards could offload a lot of work from the CPU and produce impressive results. Thus, NVIDIA became the dominant player in the graphics card market. NVIDIA has always been a forward-looking company. Its stock rose steadily even before the AI revolution. There's even a story that once, while sitting in the office, someone asked Jensen what he would do if NVIDIA's stock hit $100. He said he would get a tattoo. The stock eventually hit $100. But what happened to the tattoo? NVIDIA grew into a massive company. How Jensen managed such a large company is another story. Reportedly, more than 50 people gave him daily reports, which allowed him to be involved with every department while keeping things efficient. Sending hundreds of short emails to 50 people a day meant his messages were brief rather than long, and some employees jokingly compared Jensen's emails to ransom notes. As for the AI revolution, with models like ChatGPT emerging, the demand for powerful processors skyrocketed, and NVIDIA was already positioned to produce the necessary GPUs and processors. Don't underestimate the AI revolution. ChatGPT reached 1 million users just 5 days after launch. For comparison, Facebook took 10 months and Netflix 3.5 years to reach the same milestone. That gap is huge. Right when ChatGPT arrived, NVIDIA was ready to meet the demand and began growing even faster. As an example, NVIDIA shares that had been around $15 before the AI boom have risen to about $175 today. So that's the story of how a beginning full of hardships led to the founding of one of the world's largest companies. NVIDIA and Jensen are still writing their story and moving fast. But there's a lesson here. Even if starting conditions aren't equal, progress is in our hands. Whether slow or fast, just keep moving forward.